I've noticed that as well. When I just started doing this a few months back, getting into the Bible study,
Yeah.
on my church every week, praying. And I
Yeah.
laugh about this sometimes when I talk about Christianity and the Bible on my podcast. I go, yeah, you think just accept
Yeah.
Jesus and your life, everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
But you talked about
Exactly.
this,
Yeah.
how you were forged in the flames, you were forged in the fire.
Hmm.
You call, what you said, you burn, learn. And I had the
Yeah.
same experience where I
Yeah.
only learned lessons the hard way. I was built stubborn,
Yeah.
but at least
Yeah. Yeah.
now at an older age, I learned them one time, not over and over
Yeah.
and over again.
Yeah.
So
You're not even barely tempted to go off track because it's burned into your,
yeah. Or
your,
you just waver
yeah.
and you go right back. Whereas as a youth,
Yeah.
you go
Yep.
way over. But that's the truth,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
what I was talking about before. Is like if things are happening in your life that can be perceived as negative, man, God's working in your life. God's working in
Right.
your life.
Right. Right.
I think it's
Hmm.
important to mention this one thing that's maybe a little bit irrelevant, but you made a specific reference to it, and I want to mention it because it's very important, and it's also something that I fail at, and I've been working on here recently. Is
Mm.
first thing in the morning, not going to my phone. Not going to my phone. It's
Yeah.
like the worst
Yep.
possible thing you could do. It's like, what do I want
It
to
is.
fill my head up with immediately? Everyone else's
Yeah.
plans for me, calls, texts, emails, things that I
Right.
have to
Right.
do. Or even worse,
Yeah.
plant in my brain the images that you were just talking about, the evil of social media. So while
It's
your
true.
platform doesn't have to be Christians only, because if it did, it would
Right.
totally defeat the purpose. Like,
Yeah.
the best thing
Yeah.
about Act Social to me is like, how are we supposed to get new Christians or introduce people to Jesus if we're only having it for existing Christians? So it
Yeah.
absolutely defeats the purpose. So I love that.
Yeah.
And number two, I love the fact that you're diminishing the borders between the denominations of
Denominations.
Christianity,
Yeah.
because me and you talked
Yeah.
about that before, where everyone is
Yep.
entitled to their specific traditions, but we all
Right.
need to, focus on Jesus and not argue over the specific traditions. And I believe that Act
Right.
Social is doing that as well. But uh,
Yep.
the the not using your phone, praying
Yep.
first thing in the morning, and not going to news, something so simple as that will change your life dramatically. And let me just clue you in on something. If you go back to the news 6 months later, it'll be the same crap, and your life has
I know,
literally
man.
been your
I
life
know,
has been the
man. Yeah.
same day in and day out. It has not changed.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
look at the news and stress on whatever side of the political spectrum you fall on and get anxious about this or anxious
Uh-huh.
about that. I find myself more and more to be absolutely just disgusted with the whole show, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like not
Same.
fall. I used to fall
Yeah.
on the right, and now I'm just like, what is this?
I know, man.
But I
I
stopped
know.
watching it. I stopped
Slimy
watching it. I
both
don't look at it.
ways. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my life has got exponentially better. And I don't know what's going on in the
Mhm.
world, but my day to day life has
Yeah.
not changed. So I can check it if I want to know. And if I don't want to be
Yeah.
upset,
Yeah.
I just don't have to check it. But talk to me a
Yep.
little bit
Yep.
about the spiritual warfare, because I noticed this, man,
Mm.
when I first really started getting into this. My life got kind of worse at first,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I thought it would
Exactly.
get better.
Yeah.
I say, God, but see, with my specific thing was I was praying for growth. I was praying for wisdom. I was praying for understanding. They say in Proverbs,
Yeah.
like, seek wisdom, understanding. It's worth more than gold and silver.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
through my failings, I do believe that, and I have now. I have to watch because I walk that fine line of pride. Is like
I know
I
what you mean.
I really
Yeah.
aggressively seek the knowledge and understanding like I used to seek success. Because it's like
Yeah.
now I
Yeah.
view creating greatness or being great, I can only be great in the eyes of God. My greatness is only
Right.
determined by God. It's
Right.
not determined by people patting me on the back and telling me I'm good and giving me money and all for my services. Like that stuff's all
Right.
great. And I do still wish to achieve those things, but I can only be great in the eyes of God. And so I struggle with that. But then when I really surrendered, rather than getting better, it got kind of worse. And I think it's because of that.
Yeah.
I was praying for growth. I was praying for understanding. And you go, okay, this is how you learn, you know?
You're right,
So
man.
talk to me a
You're
little bit
right.
about
You're
how
right.
that
It's
happened
tough.
with you and how you're defeating it.
Man, I tell you what, the spiritual warfare slammed us pretty hard on some stuff. And it was mostly mental in a
Mhm.
big part of it on that.
Sure.
But, when these things, when these things hit us, it we had some backbone behind us, through that burn and learn education, when things happen, and and maybe we were getting a little prideful, and God let a little bit of an attack through. He joked us just a little bit to teach us, that we need to chill out a little, with some pride. But man, we I'll tell you just a couple of scenario or a few scenarios here. So on three occasions, it was pretty bad finance on some stuff.
Mm,
So some we were able to get some initial funding, which was exciting. But when you run a year and a half behind schedule, and you have that many staff members on staff, for especially developers, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars per month going out the door, for payrolls and getting things ready. Now take that times 2.5 years. We needed,
mm,
some backing. Backing began to run dry because we were running so far behind. It wasn't our fault on that. We were never delayed for any particular reason. It just took 2.5 years to build a platform with the technology and stability, the exact same backbone that Facebook's even built on. It's called Laravel. It's the newest, latest, greatest in tech. If we ran a Super Bowl commercial tomorrow and we went from, a few 100,000 users up to 20 million, and they all logged on at once, Laravel would, like a machine gun, go brrr, start spreading out, and it would handle the weight. So building that stuff and finding the developers that know that newest technology in there for stability, it was tough, and they're expensive. So finances ran thin on several occasions. We've gone through, we've done personal stuff on our home, to pump money in. We've done line of credits, we've done all kinds of stuff to pump in until we launched. And each time that hit, it was a similar situation. I had to come to the team and say, we're working on a couple of things. You may not be paid this month. And man, we never lost a person over that, ever.
mm.
All the developers said, we're in this, let's do it. And then it always was fine. We trusted in God, but embarrassingly, I will admit, we still doubted a little when the crap hit the fan, when the account went all the way down, and I was like, we don't have, this loan deal closed or whatever it is for that next round of funding. And, are you sure you're there, God? So I'll admit, man, it's not that I was like, God's got this, that's a fake front. It's not like that. In my heart and soul, I said it, but I'm not going to say I, stuck to it 100% all the time. I was still scared, at
Yeah,
times, I'll say.
man.
So that was one spiritual warfare, man, on the finances. There was another time, I was in Texas. We were visiting the kids, and we went to a friend of ours who is a pastor at a church there, and ran into a gentleman. I won't say his name on the air. Almost everybody knows him. He's a very popular Christian motivational speaker. Does a lot of stuff. Everybody knows the name, man. Especially in the Christian world, you've heard of this guy. And
Right.
lo and behold, I was coming out of the bathroom after service, and here he comes in. Well, I said, "Oh, hey." Won't say his name, how's it going? He was like, "Oh, hey, hey." And I said, "Hey, and we do this. We have what's called national ministers inside Act Social. And national
Mm,
minister is the one that goes in the storyboards. They're like the trusted ministers, word of the day kind of stuff that's in there. And he's on our list. We had his team's contact. We actually had his personal email too. So through this and that, but he just didn't know it yet. We were waiting, and of course we weren't quite launched at that time. And I said, "Hey, we're building a Christ centered social platform, and myself or my team will soon be reaching out to your team, so you can expect an email." And he just kind of looked at me confused, and he said, "So what's it called again?" And I told him, and he said, "What is it?" I kind of told him what it is, and then he said, "And who are you going to reach out to?" And I was like, well, my team's gonna reach out to you. If you wanted to, you could be one of our featured, speakers on. And when you get that, you get quite a few supporters. Everybody in the platform sees you. You're like, it's always at the top. You're pinned up there. And he just kind of looked at me in this face like, that'll never work. And he
mm,
went off to the bathroom. So it's like,
mm.
I don't ever look up to celebrities. I could see a celebrity on the street and I'm like, oh, cool. There's, Tom Cruise, cool.
Yeah.
He's shorter than I thought. And then we just walk off. That's so I'm not ever a celebrity, never have been celebrity, I'm not going to scream like a girl or anything like that. I just don't, it didn't anyway. but it crushed me, man, because I kind of looked up to the guy,
Yeah.
hearing his sermons and how awesome he is with people. And then for him to be rude and downplay, I think that
Mm.
was a spiritual attack. There was another situation, man. We bought a church database one time because we do free service for the church. If you don't have a church home and there's churches that are featured in your area, it will keep in your feeds showing you recent sermons and little tidbits about the local church near you if that church is featured on there. And until you pick a church home in the app, you're going to keep seeing churches around you until you choose one. Then it's going to start sending you the service times as little push reminders. Service starts tomorrow 10 a.m. Whatever it is. So that's what we do for the churches. It's just one of the neat plugins. And so we thought, well, to do that, man, we need to get a database of churches bought, and we need to at least get the database loaded in there so that when people go in, they may find a church. Hopefully, we can get a kickstart, to the listings in there. The churches can go in and claim them, and go from there. We don't charge churches ever, never will. And so 130,000 churches, man. Out of that, there was about 180-ish thousand email contacts at the churches. So we started a campaign as a team. It was semi-automated. It would come from our emails, a few a day. And, if they answered back, we could give in manual instructions on it. So, man, 180,000 emails go out to United States churches. Did you know that 98% of all the replies we got back were no thanks, don't need more people? I was floored, man. I was
Wow.
like,
I'm floored.
I like I turned it, I took over the email inbox and the support team got on to me. They're like, you don't need to be in here. You're getting crude responses with these people. And I'm like, well, I feel like I need to tip tables in the temple because, what's
Yes.
wrong? We're not charging. So I told the team, I said, okay,
Yeah.
redo the emails. Obviously even though we say we will never ever charge, we're not a nonprofit, but this is like almost a nonprofit approach. We're there to help and put butts in seats is what the purpose is, putting butts in seats. So
Mhm.
using technology. And so we reworded the email and we sent back out again, man. 98% comes back. No, thanks. Not interested.
Leave us alone.
Don't
We
want
don't
to,
want
don't want a
people.
listing. We don't want extra people. And I literally got in there and started replying myself one day when the team wasn't quite clocked in one morning. And I was like, and I was nicely Christianly rude about it, and I went in there and I'm like, I guess I don't understand. It's, I thought I was doing rude stabs. It was horrible. I shouldn't have done it, but I was angry. So I
Rightly
said,
so.
I thought we were in the same industry. We're in this
Yes.
to spread the gospel. I assumed your church wanted to spread the gospel, but if you don't want to spread the gospel, just reply back again and let us know for sure you're not interested. Woo. Some of them got rude back, and I'm like, really? So, like, really? So anyway,
Yo.
I got kicked out of the support inbox. They told me don't come in here again. But still, man, isn't that something? So I think that's more
Yes.
spiritual warfare,
Yes, it is.
more attempted discouragement out of it. But one of the cool things is, man, we got our website up, Acts Social. If anyone sees it, it's like the book of Acts in the Bible. Acts Social is the platform we launched. And if if we were going to be late, a year and a half late, I told the team, get the website thrown up, make it beautiful on the front side like it should be. Our purposes, what we're doing, all of our missions, all the footer links, make everything perfect, beautiful. But when they go to log in or sign up, make those buttons to where coming soon, we're not quite ready. Put in your name and email address and we'll notify you when it's ready. So we have over 130,000 subscribers now in our email list when we launched, a little over, when we launched the platform just, I think, almost 9 weeks ago now. So we were amazed, man. We've got a great audience that we reach out to, even so young right now. So
Amen.
that is encouragement from the Father amidst all the spiritual battles and this thing almost not taking off mentally and financially.